Ian, I mean, we keep pushing this thing deeper and deeper into the season. Wow, the Jets are a cute little story. Well, the Giants are a cute little story. When's the NFL going to start getting the memo that maybe these teams are going to stick around the whole year, Rapoport?
There's one or two of these teams every year. I didn't expect it to be these teams, just being completely honest, but there's one or two of these teams every year that have some wins, play really hard, do some good things together, and then get in a point where they're like better than they should be, but are too young or naive to realize that they shouldn't be here. And I feel like that's kind of the Jets, right? Like they should not be here based on where they are in their development, but they are. And I think that's pretty amazing. And, Robert Saleh finally getting the defense that he wants on the field has been really cool to watch. I mean, guys like Quinn Williams might be having his best season of his career. He's been great. Sauce has been great.
Yep.
Like really, really great. Breece Hall has, probably been what they thought, which is awesome. Jets are great. And I think for the Giants, I keep going back and forth on the Giants because had Joe Judge been the coach now, this would have been the year where we say, all right, it's all going to come together year 3. This is the year of the big turnaround. Mm-hmm. But they were so bad last year that we all kind of assumed they would suck. But the offensive line's been a lot better. Saquon's been really good. Defense has been great. So I don't know when they fade, but I'm not sure I see it yet.
Yeah, well, that's the point. And one of the stats that I love, the point differential for both the Jets and the Giants in the fourth quarter, which is where, veteran presence usually wins out, coaching usually has an advantage, blah, 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 continuity. I understand that there's an element of I'm not going to say luck, of circumstances for both the Jets and the Giants with some of these wins, all right? But when you handle business in the fourth quarter as consistently as the Jets and the Giants have, to me, that's the greatest thing that you could say it's not a mirage. Like, that's the one stat that really jumps out to me.
And we've had good examples from both sides. Zach Wilson's first start, I think he was fine. He was okay. Fourth quarter, he was really good. Mm-hmm. He was chill. He was relaxed. He made some plays. He took care of the ball. He was really good. And so you're like, all right, I can kind of see that. If he does more of that, they're going to be okay. Then, the Giants defense, I mean, in the fourth quarter, like Ravens game, big play, big, forced fumble, strip sack. I mean, these are great plays. And these aren't, opponents handing them things. These are going out and taking it. And, you're right. There is some circumstance. There is some fortune. But both these teams are causing their own fortune, which is just amazing.
Yeah, and a big part of it for the Giants is Wink Martindale, who got revenge, so to speak, against his former team. And it almost feels like they fired him just because. And, I think about, the staff construction for this New York Giants and all these guys who maybe maybe you don't. Like, a lot of people don't know Mike Groh. I know him because he was my coach at quarterback. But the job that Joe Shane did putting the staff together has been pretty spectacular.
Yeah, really spectacular. And, I'm looking at some of the teams that have struggled. Let's say Denver Broncos. I think it's pretty safe to say they've struggled. And You looked at the staff that Nathaniel Hackett put together, and there's really no veterans to kind of help a coach who hasn't been there through it at all, right? Usually you got to have one grizzled veteran who's been through it, who can just be like, you know what? You're looking at this wrong. Here's what you're missing or something. Someone who just doesn't mind telling people off. Giants got that with Wink Martindale. He is a great coordinator. He is also an all-time great truth teller. So, if you ask him something, he'll really tell you. For a first-year head coach, even someone who's been around a while like Daboll, that's really important. That hire they got right. And, I think with the Ravens, my understanding was it wasn't that Harbaugh fired Brian Daboll. It was that he wasn't sure about.
You mean Wink?
Wink. I'm sorry. It wasn't. It wasn't that Harbaugh fired Wink Martindale. It was that they weren't sure about offering him a long-term extension. They wanted to do a 1-year deal, and it was like, all right, let's just part ways. And that's going to end up being one of the best things to happen to the Giants. I mean, his defense has been really aggressive, really, really problematic. I mean, that call against Rodgers on fourth down was just one of my favorites of the whole season.
Yeah, absolutely right. 100% agree with you. Let me flip to a league-wide thing. There seems like there's some turmoil going on at these league meetings with Robert Kraft getting into it with Jerry Jones and Jim Irsay calling out Daniel Snyder. Is there fractures happening in the ownership at the ownership level in the NFL?
I wouldn't say fractures, but I would say that, these are guys who there's always factions. I would say factions, not fractures, right? Like there's always, you have the really super powerful, influential owners like Kraft and Jerry, and they talk about some of the biggest issues, whether it's Roger Goodell compensation or TV deals, stadiums, whatever it is, the biggest issues. And sometimes there's conflict. I honestly didn't make too much of that, like two people yelling at each other over something that was 31-1. Like, the Dan Snyder thing is real. I mean, the Dan Snyder thing is real. And for Jim Irsay, there was that story about how allegedly Dan Snyder has skeletons in the closets of the other owners. Like he hired PIs. I don't know if any of that's true. He's denied it. But Jim Irsay does have some, and he has been very public about it. He has been upfront and honest, and he was the one who came out and said that there's belief that Dan Snyder should be removed. That was consequential, and I think that probably changed everything.
All right, so we're talking Ian Rapoport here on the Fan, his weekly NFL spot. Tiki and Tierney, the old adage, you've heard this for years. Tiki, you lived it. A desperate team is a dangerous team. Whatever. Sometimes you're desperate because you stink. I would say that at this point, I just want to take it back to the Jets quickly here. You can make the case, they're desperate, but they're dysfunctional, the Denver Broncos, with Hackett and Russell Wilson. I feel like every day I see an article, one of his former teammates saying he's not a great teammate, whatever. Is Denver still dangerous? Like, I know they've got talent. I know the defense is good, but I think this team is almost dead, which is a dangerous thing to say before the Jets play him. How do you interpret the Broncos right now?
Well, the defense is great. I mean, they are really great, and they're going to make things uncomfortable. I think the Chargers offense is, one of the better offenses in the NFL, and the Broncos defense made them look really bad and really different. Couldn't get anything going downfield. Everything was dink and dunk. Everything was screens. It was different. Defense is really good. The offense has not been good. And, I don't know if Russell Wilson's going to play this week. I don't know if he should play. It seems like a fairly significant injury. But here's the major problem of all the things. All the things, worst case scenario, Russell Wilson doesn't play, the offense looks good, and they win. What happens then? Brett Rippon is absolutely fine, average. What if he comes in, runs Nathaniel Hackett's offense well, and they win? That's the nightmare.
Well, first of all, you're going to have a very unhappy me on Monday. Listen, that's the thing. Like, I don't think anybody's outside of an outlier, something wacky. I don't think the Jets defense are going to get tuned up the rest of the year. I think this Jets defense is real, like really, really real at every level.
Yeah, and I don't think defenses really get sort of figured out. It's not really like that, Mm-hmm. And especially like, Salah's not doing anything super complicated. That system is never super complicated. They just seem like they have really good players.
They do. They do.
And Sauce Gardner was not the first, obviously, corner taken. He is looking like the best one. And he's been so interesting. And obviously he's getting help up front because the pressure's been good. Quinnen's been awesome. But Sauce Gardner's playing exactly like he was in college. This looks exactly like that. He's giving up almost nothing. He's not being challenged a ton. And when he has, he's made some plays. It was exactly like that in college. But it's like most people have an adjustment period to get to the NFL, and he's had zero. Like, that's looking like a really, really foundation draft pick.
All right, so when we reconvene on Thursday, and we're going to wrap it up with this, Ian Rapoport here on The Fan. Do the Jets come out of this game with a win, and do the Giants come out of this game with a win?
I would say if Russell plays, the Jets probably do. The Giants, I mean, they're rolling, man. It's been so fascinating. I know I know there's all this Yankee talk, which, stabbed me in the eyeballs, but I got to imagine, so many, like, trying to figure out why the Giants are so good has been so fun. And I don't see why things will be any different this week. It's so basic and it's so simple and they play hard. I think it's going to be good. All
right. Let's keep that mojo rocking. Ian Rapoport, we'll catch you on Thursday, buddy. Have a good weekend. I know you're busy, so thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Ian.
So, guys, take care.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about the matchup for the Giants, Tiki, and I know that you know this because you've been scouring the film here, is that, the run defense for the Jaguars is outstanding.
Yeah.
And that's what the Giants do. It's how they've been winning.
Yeah, the difference is for the Jaguars, started the season 2-1, and they've lost now 3 in a row, is that Trevor Lawrence was, I don't want to say he was elite, but he was damn good those first couple of games. 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's only thrown 1 touchdown since then, and the run game, even though it had a couple of big plays, hasn't been buoying it enough. Their defense is really good. You're right, BT, in Jacksonville, but it's been inconsistent offensively, which is surprising for a Doug Peterson coach team, unless Trevor is taking a little bit of a step sideways. I won't say he's taking a step back because I don't think he's too young to, he's fading. Mm-hmm. But he's just kind of stagnated.
A little neutral.
That's why they haven't won a couple of these games, which they were playing well enough to do.
Yeah, they could have a totally different record. I don't disagree with that.